to record a bit here. So here's our doings. You might as well start at number 1. It's as good a place as any. So Jimmy and Gabriella are selling wrapping paper for a school fundraiser. Let me bring this out a little bit so we can actually see the whole thing. Okay. Customers can buy rolls of plain paper or holiday. Jimmy sold 11 plain and 14 a holiday. What's the cost of each? Okay. So what do we have going here? We have plain wrapping paper and we've got holiday. So just like we have before, just real quick, so everybody knows what our equations mean here, we'll just make a quick label of what our two different things are going to be. Because once we get those, now I can make my two equations. Now it's not always going to be like P plus H is the first one like it was before. There's a mix now. So like for instance here, if I look for my first part where everything starts getting mentioned, that first sentence is what I'm going to turn into my first equation. So on this first one it says 11 rolls of plain, so 11P, 14 rolls of holiday, so plus he sold 14 rolls of H, and it totaled up to $189. So I'm just putting my plain plus my holiday together to make that equal. So for my second equation, then I just use the second person's info. Gabriella sold 11 rolls of plain. All right. 12 rolls of holiday. And it cost $173. Now here's the nice thing with this one. If I look at those, let's say I want to get rid of P. That should be fairly easy. Because if this is 11P, what do I want this to become? Negative. So to turn that into negative, I just have to multiply by a negative, or a -1. Now remember though, that changes every single one of these, all the way through. So the 11P becomes negative, the 14H becomes negative, and the 189 becomes negative. Okay, all three parts. And then we don't do anything to what we have below. So I go, okay. So if I add these down once I distribute my negative, negative 11P and 11P, okay, they wipe out, that's cool. I do have to watch signs though. Negative 14 plus 12 is negative 2H. And a negative 189 plus 173 is a negative 16. Because I never should get a negative answer here, because that would mean I sold negative number of toilet paper. I almost called it wrapping paper. And there's one other little thing to watch for here. So to get H alone, since I'm multiplying it by -2, what's the opposite going to be? Divide. So that last step here is always going to be to divide. So it looks like I'm going to have $8 for a roll of holiday. And once I find that, I got one last little part. So I got a second step here. I still got to figure out how much a plain roll costs. So I'm just going to take the first equation. So 11P plus 14, well, H stands for how much a roll of holiday costs. Well, I know how much that costs, $8. So I'm going to plug that in where the H was. Okay. So the only thing that's changed from those two equations is that I took the H out and put the 8 in. So let's see here. 11P plus 112 is 189, and now it's a plain old two-step equation like we've been doing since like 2 weeks into school. If I want to get P alone and I'm adding 112, I do the opposite. And 189 minus 112 is 77. And then divide by 11. Okay, and I'll always get whole number answers. So if for some reason I get a decimal, okay, I probably just did something, maybe I flipped an add and a subtract or something somewhere just to make sure. But that's what I'm up to on these. And I'm trying to think, I believe, yeah, that's what we'll do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do numbers 1 and 2 with you. And then I'm also going to do number 4. Because everything else will kind of go along with that. So, okay, let's bump up to number 2 here. So now we got cookie dough we're selling. All right, what kinds have we got here? White chocolate chip cookie dough and oatmeal cookie dough. All right. Probably should have just called the chocolate chip cookie dough C. Well, if you want to, you can. And O is going to be oatmeal. And again, that last sentence will tell you what the things are that you're looking for. So it's not like there's something, you know, that we've got to dig real deep here. So let's go back in. Let's try this out. So John did 4 packages of the white chocolate chip cookie dough and 6 of the oatmeal. This is going to be interesting since the O is going to look like 60. Maybe we better change this. Let's make that A instead. Because O, I think, is going to cause us problems. So let's see, how'd Jacob do? He sold 4 packages of white chocolate chip and 13 packages of oatmeal for a cost of $197. And similar to what we had happen on the last one, there's always going to be a variable here that we can get rid of fairly easily. In this case, it happens to be W. Which is, again, if you see the same number here, the only thing I've got to do to change it is multiplied through by a negative, or a -1. Because then that changes the signs on every one of those. And then when I decide I'm going to leave the bottom one alone, I get my opposites. -4 and 4 cancel. -6 plus 13 is a +7a. -106 plus 197 is 91. And just like it is for all of these, that last step is going to be to divide by 7. So my white chocolate chip costs $13 a package, a bundle, whatever we want to call it. And then again, my last step will just be to plug it back in. I'm just going to keep using the first one here. So 4 white chocolate chip plus 6 oatmeal, but I know how much the oatmeal is. And just like up above, it's going to become a basic 2-step equation. Yep, I just multiplied those two together. That's where my 78's coming from. Just like we did prior, you know, I want to get the plus 78 out of there first. So 106 minus 78 is 28. And divide by 4. So the white chocolate chippers cost $7 a package. But that's our setup. That's our way of doing all of these, except, which is the last one we're going to do, except when we get into a problem like 4 or 6. These are the ones that are super easy, and we wish more of them were like. So for instance here, of 2 numbers. Again, when we just see someone that says of 2 numbers, they're not telling us anything more about it. We're just going to use x and y. So if their difference is 2, what's difference mean? Close. Nope, multiply would be product. Minus or subtract. So the difference of these 2 numbers is 2. Their sum is 20. What's sum? Plus. So take the same 2 and add those up and set it equal to 20. Do I have to multiply this time? No. What variable cancels out? If I add down 1x and 1x is 2x, negative and positive y cancel. So now it's just the one step and I'm done. Since I'm multiplying x by 2, I just divide it. And I get my first number. And then I can plug that back into either of these to get my last answer. So I'll just use the bottom one this time, let's say. So x, which I know, plus y equals 20. So I took the x plus y equals 20 equation, but I took out the x because I know what that number is now. It's 11. And just do my one last step. So anytime we just see them talk about difference and sum, that's the type of question that we're looking for on there. But the other ones will set up like what we had on the first 2. So what we're going